Hello and welcome to today's video. So this is the first of two videos where I'm going to be going through my complete vintage Corgi book collection. So these are in a bit of a mixture of conditions, and it's not a publisher that I avidly collect. However, they do all sorts of books. They do sci-fi, they do war books, they do some young adult books, some crime. I mean, a real mishmash of stuff, and they're really interesting to go through. So I'm not really sure exactly what I'm going to be finding here. Some of them have already been cleaned, other ones they just need a cursory clean along the top, but even so I think it's going to be really good to look through them, give them a polish and get them looking tip top. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Okay, so we start off with one which actually is aimed at the kids. It's a Scotty book, not a Corgi, but it's a Biggles. And what we'll do, we'll just go through these and see if any of these are going to need any sort of work. They're all going to need the tops doing, and I will give them all a polish as well. But I'm only going to sort of do about half this week and half next week because there's a lot to get through. And I don't want these videos being 3 hours long, so I think it's probably best to split them. Scotty Book of Inventions there. But they are really interesting, these Corgi books, and it's a publisher that's still around today. Brave Company. This is a wartime one, and we will see some absolutely fantastic cover art on these. Superb war novel in Italy. But the main thing is we're checking them over condition wise. Now, Corgi books themselves don't lend themselves to surviving very well. They're okay for a couple of reads, but beyond that the books seem to be, they start to fall to bits. So consequently, finding nice copies of Corgi books on the second-hand market, it doesn't really happen that often. See, this one here, it's got a massive piece missing from the bottom of the spine, but unfortunately it's missing. There's nothing for me to glue back. I'm just going to have to sort of live with that. That's okay, that's not too bad. This is quite an early one. I've had this for years, and it's got evidence of tape on the front covers there. But it's an early sci-fi, Arthur C. Clarke, Sands of Mars. Really nice copies of this one go for about £25–30. So my copy is one that I got in at a boot sale. I picked this one up dirt cheap, but I wouldn't mind a nice fresh copy of it. But I don't really collect Arthur C. Clarke, but he is a sci-fi author who I quite like. Lease of Life, Andrew Milburn. Now that actually does need the bottom of the spine regluing on this one, just to keep it in place. So let me grab my glue. So when I do my So when I do my gluing, I just use like a little Pritt stick, which is really versatile. And then I use a small screwdriver, which I can use to just slide in. I use it a bit like a tiny palette knife. And I use it just to slide into little gaps like that. Just pop a little bit of glue in there, just to stop that bit from chipping off. That's the idea of it. And I just use this as a little slither. Slide it in there like that. In fact, there may even be a bit too much, but let's just squish it in. Oh, no, that'd be all right. There we are. So squeezed it in. Now, with the Pritt stick, it will squish around underneath. And if you find that you've put a tiny bit too much in, so it has a little bit squeezed out there, I can just grab that with my thumb. There we are. But that's going to stop that catching now, that little bit there, and that's why we've done it. It's a really easy fix on a book like this. Target Island. That's a nice cover as well. John Brophy. I haven't had all my Corgi books out, because the thing is, when I go out looking for books and I go, say, bookshop hunting, I might find one or two, and it's only when you get them together, you put them all in numerical order, you start to see the sort of the history of the publisher come together, and some of them are really fantastic. I wish all my Corgis were in this lovely condition, because they're very much not. I wish. Patrol. It does generally seem to be that the war ones are the ones which have survived best. The genre stuff, crime and sci-fi, they're the ones which tend to get read and reread and reread, and they just haven't survived very well. So just looking at when these are dated, these are sort of like mid-1950s, which is 54, 55, which is around when Corgi started. The Sideshow, Gerald Bell. And they really did blow their own trumpet, didn't they? This is a Corgi book. Tell your friends to look for the Corgi dog on the books they buy. The sign of fine reading, uncut and unabridged. Of course, most publishers at this time were printing unabridged, but there were a few that weren't still. The sort of more pulpy publishers. This is a Western, and it's got a cover by Mortelmans, Edward Mortelmans. Really, really fantastic. Painted Ponies, look at that, a beautiful cover. So one of their Western titles. I don't have many of the Westerns, but when I see them now in nice condition, I do pick them up. Lovely. So this is, of course, just the initial once pass, once through. Here's another one here, the long ears, another one. And we'll give these all a good brush off in a minute, and then finally a polish. Canyon, Jack Schaefer. Of course, the thing about these Corgi books is they're American pocket size. They're not like the British paperbacks, which are A format. These are very much. Now, the next one's a big, thick giant, which is this one here. And this is the earliest giant I've got. So what we'll do, rather than get to that stage now, I'll take what we've done, those smaller ones there, and we'll give them a brush. Okay, so I think these can comfortably fit, I think, best into 3 piles. There we are. And we'll give them the brush off. So you see some of these, it's quite dark, they definitely need it. Other ones may have been done fairly recently, but I've certainly never cleaned the entire Corgi collection. This is where I expect the most. Yeah, look at that. Oh, blimey. Little wafts of dust coming off those. Yeah, look at that. That dark one there has made a massive difference. And that's probably one that I've just had for years. That has never been through this sort of treatment. Yeah, look at that massive difference. So it's fantastic, and I'm really pleased with that. Almost smell the dust particles. But when you think these books are 65 years old, it's not surprising, is it? So that's that first little wedge done. Now I will go back, and they're all going to need a polish as well. So I'm going to put, these are okay to polish on these because they've got fairly glossy covers. They're not matte. They're not paper covers where the polish would damage it. So I will go back and give these a polish. But I shall do that at the end when we're about halfway through the Corgi collection. Right, so look at this first giant here, Stolen Journey, a breathtaking epic of escape. Look at the size of it. Really nice map on the back of the escape, which is really good. But a huge book. Not in the best of condition, but you got to wonder how many have survived in nice condition like this, you know. And this isn't a first. This is a reprint from 1955, but it's not the first. That came out the year before. But it's still the only one that's ever come my way, so I'm happy to have it. Silent Army, Jin Ken-un, dramatic novel of the Japanese reign of terror in Malaya. And of course in the 50s, that was when there was a real boom in World War II memoirs. One of the greatest sellers, of course, was The Colditz Story by Pat Reed, and you had The Great Escape by Paul Brickell. Longest Day was out, wasn't it? Cornelius Ryan. There were so many. Huge, these giants, aren't they? The Bride of Newgate, John Dixon Carr. So he was being published by Penguin and Pan, but predominantly Penguin. So Corgi wanted to get in on the act by the look of it. Oh, these are just sort of dusty more than anything, you know. They're not too bad condition-wise. White Coolie. Illustrated by Ronald Searle. Look at that. Someone who was actually kept prisoner by the Japanese during the Second World War. So yeah, they've taken some original Ronald Searle drawings. Look at that. Ronald Searle actually survived Japanese prisoners of war camps. Went on to become a renowned artist. Did a lot of work for Penguin. Great guy. The Sky Was Their Roof. This is another Western. A 4th century epic of the men who explored, conquered, and then shaped a new world. Oh, this and a medal too. Good stuff. This looks like Mr. Churchill here, yeah. Churchill, Great War Speeches. Churchill was a great orator. This is a compilation of some of his better speeches. See when this one was dated. 1957. Right, I think we better give these a brush off. So let's put them into manageable piles again. Do these two. Look at the dust on that. So I'm really going to hope that that comes up. And in actual fact, I think before we do that, I'm just going to glue the top of the spine there on this one, because it is quite fragile. So let's slide a little bit of glue on the end of my screwdriver. A little bit more is required in this particular case. On the very end here. Let's see if that does the trick. Yeah, I think that's going to hold it in place a bit better. Worth doing, I think, that. Right. So let's give these a brush. Massive, aren't they, these giants? Yeah, that looks a bit better. Yeah, that's all right. Lovely. Much, much better. Okay, so cracking on here. I reckon we're over halfway now on this first part. So we've got Stuka Pilot, Hans-Ulrich Rudel. Still on the giants here. Cover is very, very fragile, but it's staying on, which is the main thing. Arthur C. Clarke, City in the Stars. The Willing Flesh. (1957) we're on to now on these. This is a Western again, The Great Betrayal. Native Americans. Zero. Story of the Japanese Navy Air Force. That's a good read. Quite a beaten up copy, that one, but it's all there. It's just worn. It's been read a few times, that one. So, The Forsaken Amulet, the mighty novel of Stalingrad. Wow. 1960. Wow. Knights of Bushido. A short history of Japanese war crimes. Lord Russell of Liverpool. As you can see, Corgi were not afraid to tackle certain subjects head on in their list. And there's the companion volume, Scourge of the Swastika, which is German atrocities during the Second World War. Another Western, career of Wyatt Earp. He carried a 6-shooter. Nice jacket on that one. I've started picking up these Western Corgis when I see them, which is not very often, I have to say, but you know, when they do turn up, I try and grab them because I think they're brilliant. $1955, that one. Been through many printings before it became a Corgi. Actually, I think I'm going to put some glue down the spine there on that one because it's starting to come away. It's big, thick spine now. There's no real easy way to do this except squidge it in multiple times. So that's what I'm going to do. Don't know if I might be able to just bend it back a bit and run it along. Yeah, let's do it that way. The glue's just got old and brittle. Not unusual. With these sorts of books. It's got such a big, thick spine. It's just come detached there. But there we are. That's actually made all the difference on that one. Because it was still half attached, you know, so there we are. That's all right. Quite pleased with that. I think we better give these a wipe down, a brush off as it were. Once again, we'll sort them into 3 piles. And some of them really stand out as being dark, don't they? But what a difference it makes. Dust everywhere. Lovely. Okay, so I'm going to just do one more little sort of pile And then that'll be sort of the halfway point. I'll then give them all a quick polish before the end of this video, and then we've got about the same amount again to do next week. But these are the little T series books now. Oh, S rather. The T's were over there. I flew for the Führer. Chivaro. Among the head shrinkers of the Amazon. Wow. And some of these Corgi books are actually quite sensationalist, as we'll see later on. They weren't afraid to dip their toe in the realm of sleaze and sensationalism. Desperate Voyage. They really are the British pulps, aren't they? They really are quite pulpy, these. Run to Death, Patrick Quinton. Bit of a worn one, that. But once again, it falls into this sort of the crimey genre. Look at the state of it. So that's going to benefit from a nice brush, that's for certain. Dagger Before Me. Kon-Tiki, Thor Heyerdahl. Really great author. I prefer his one on Easter Island called Aku Aku. That's my favourite of his, but this is a very good one as well. Not the first, but it's a nice copy of that one. This one's interesting. The Flesh is Weak. The full story of the sensational Eros film. Gilbert Miller. Something on the front there, like a bit of... It's like a bit of paint or something's gone on it. I'm not sure. The Secrets of London's Vice Ring. Wow. Ladies of the Night. Now, I'm not sure what that is on the front. I'm just going to get my scalpel a moment and see if I can... Yeah, look at that. It's just come straight off. Look like a bit of paint or a spot of wax. There's a tiny bit left. Which is proven a bit more stubborn. But the last thing I want to do is wreck the cover, so I'll leave it at that. But that's got the worst of it off anyway. And once these books have had a polish, that'll really bring that one out quite nicely. A Cry in the Night, Whit Masterton. And these thin ones are much, much harder to find in nice condition. Some of mine are really on their last legs. It's surprising. I have had a few through my hands and they've been so bad I've just chucked them because they were really, really falling to bits. James Michener. It's got a little £2.50 in the corner. So we'll get that out. There we are. A couple more. Second book of Crimecraft. I remember these. Quite worn copies, but rare all the same. This is a little sci-fi one, Timeliner. Okay, cool. So let's give these a brush now. There was no obvious spines, I think, that needed repairing. Sort these into 3 bits here. Just looking at Test Pilot. Yeah, it's actually starting to come away, that one, so I'm not even going to bother re-gluing it because it's in such a sorry old state, that one. But let's just give these the brush. Apologies for the slightly noisy bike outside, but unfortunately I'm filming this one during the day and I can't predict what my neighbours are going to be doing. But he is very inconsiderate, don't you think? God, lots of those, loads. That made a huge difference on those. Lovely, but that's why we're doing it. That is why we're doing these. Lovely. I said some of these would have been through the process before, others never. So it's great to catch up on all my Corgi books to get them looking so good. And as I said, this is only half. This is part 1 of 2. So that actually is the first half then. So what we're going to need to do now is get the old Mr. Sheen polish out, and we're going to give these a gentle buff up since they've all been cleaned and brushed now. And we'll just give the covers a bit of a shine. Okay then, so back to the start. I got my Mr. Sheen here. I've got a nice clean bit of cloth duster. I'm going to give that a good old soak in the corner here. Now, these aren't super glossy covers, so I'm not going to spray directly on them, but I'm just going to run it over like so. Because unless it's something quite obvious, I don't think we've got too much to worry about today. But even so, I think they would benefit from the once over. And it won't take too long, so and even if you can't pick up much cleaning on the with the eye, you know, and on the camera here, I've only done 3 books there, and look at the dirt that's come off. So it's there, even if you can't obviously see it. It's definitely there, and that is why these are being done. Can't do a lot with this old tatty Arthur C. Clarke. But the really nice ones do come up even nicer once they've had a polish as well. Look at that. Look at the dust and dirt that's come off those books. Fresh bit of cloth. There we are. That's the first pile done. Now we're on to those big giants. These really are benefiting actually from the polish. I don't think some of these have ever been done because the amount of dirt that's coming off them is phenomenal. It really, really is. Look at it. It's lit black. lovely. That's pile number 2. These really damaged ones, can't do a lot about those sadly, but some of them are really coming up. They're really benefiting from this. Last pile for polishing now. In the second half of the video, which will be next week, I've got some much later Corgi books that once again have never ever been shown on either channel. These are sort of 70s and very, very early 80s ones, which are really interesting. So, as well as a load more 50s and 60s books as well. So that will be in 7 days' time. So as I round out this last pile, I hope you have enjoyed today's video. If you have, if you wouldn't mind giving the video a thumbs up, just to let YouTube know that you have enjoyed it, and they'll show it to a few more interested people with a bit of luck. If you've not already, it would be great for the channel if you wouldn't mind hitting the subscribe button. I'm almost at, as I film this, I'm almost at 700 subscribers, so it's going really, really well, but I'd love to be able to hit 1,000 in the next few months if possible, so your help with me getting to 1,000 is appreciated. One thing you may have noticed that I've done recently, I'm just going to glue that, is I've put my Patreon and channel member supporters, I've done that little bit of video, rather than popping it in the middle of the video, I've done it at the start with no music at all. But I do still thank my patrons for supporting me and my channel members. There's links to both down below if you want to support the channel yourself and get a credit in every single video that I produce. But yeah, certainly I've been enjoying making these videos, and it's lovely to see my collection have a bit of a spring clean, as it were. And some of these books, I've had them literally for years, so they've never, ever, ever had the treatment. So I'm not sure if you can hear it, but the rain has started in earnest. But I might as well just finish these last few while I'm here. So they are special effects as well. But when it is a nice rainy day like this, that's the perfect time to stay in with a good book. Have a pyjama day if you're able to, and chill out with a decent book and get stuck in. So if that's what you're doing, let me know, and let me know what you're reading as well. Sure sounds quite heavy out there. Blimey. I have a feeling I might be getting wet going back to the house, but that's okay. So, thanks very much for watching today, and I'll see you again next week with another video. Bye.